The meeting will be called to order at 6 p.m. on February 5th, 2024. Call a roll call and confirmation of a quorum. Bernadette Consman. Cheryl Ray.
Here.
Zipporah Clark Baldwin, present. Noel Purcell.
Here.
You could all please now rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
We'll now pause for a moment of silence. Now we'll adopt the minutes from the meeting of January 8th, 2024. We will now consider the minutes from January 8th, 2024, meeting of the Appearance Commission. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at them?
I have. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
There aren't any corrections. We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes as submitted. May I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. We'll now go into an appointment of the chair and vice chair. I will now call for nominations for the Appearance Commission chair position. For now, well, as we said tonight, this is our board, so we'll just elect accordingly, and then we'll go from there. And if we have to change.
And I
We
believe
have to elect from what we have now.
process is already starting to try to get new board members. So yeah, like Mr. Clark Baldwin is saying, we'll just do chair and vice chair, and I would keep in mind that Ms. Purcell will not be probably on the board for much longer. She's at least verbally said she plans to resign. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the chair, a nomination for the chair?
So we're gonna nominate you.
I second that.
Okay. So do we get a second?
Uh-huh.
A second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Now nominations for Appearance Commission Vice Chair position.
I'll second that.
I don't think your mic's on. Can't hear you.
Sorry. That better. There you go.
So there's a nomination for Vice Chair on the floor for Ms. Cheryl Ray. It has been seconded by Ms. Noel Purcell. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Hey, welcome. Because you go. Now, can we do a reverse of roles? Because I would much rather Ms. Ray chair and I vice chair. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so welcome aboard as our vice chair, and we're praying for Ms. Purcell as you go on to pursue happiness out in the county. That you
Thank you.
guys will enjoy that life. We'll definitely miss you here in Graham. You've been a great asset to this board. I've appreciated meeting you and, getting acquainted with you here on this board. So now we have the Arbor Day discussion. I will now call on Evan Workman to open the discussion on Arbor Day.
Yeah, so as we know, Arbor Day will be coming up in April, I believe. And Brandy from Parks and Rec and Mr. Tim from Public Works, they wanted to get in front of the commission with plenty of time to spare in order to kind of plan out what we want to do as a commission and how we want to use the different departments. So if Brandy or Tim want to go ahead and talk, I made a sheet. I'll pull that up right now with just kind of the information Brandy gave me about things that happened last year, information about turnout and things like that. So I'll let Brandy and Tim kind of take it from here if they have.
Y'all have a preference for order? Okay, Miss Brandy?
I sent Evan just a rundown of last year. The information is also available on the website still. But we had the Arbor Day poem contest. It closed on March 31st. However, we only had 3 poems submitted. We did the rock hunt again in downtown Graham. There were 8 prizes available. However, only 6 were actually found and submitted. We had the Going Bonkers for Botany, where we opened it up during spring break for kids to come. Most of the kids that came out, we had 7 register. Most of the ones that came out were actually homeschool, even though we offered it during spring break. We had 12 openings, like that, only 7 registered and attended. And then we had the tree planting where we combined the tree planting ceremony with the First Responder Friday program. So there would already be a captive audience there. It was a smaller attendance. It was a cloudy day, but we have that as part of our Tree City USA, and we always plant a tree in memory of someone or in honor of someone. So that is a special piece of the Arbor Day in Graham. And in Arbor Day, we had tree resources available on our website and pushed those resources out on social media as well throughout the month of April. So Tim and I are here presenting these to see, do we want to move forward with these programs since there's a low attendance for these programs, and to see how we would like to do the ceremony this year for the tree planting. So we're here to hear your thoughts.
I myself, if I could speak, I was very pleased with the turnout last year. It appeared to be more people here then than it was when we were out at the park. That's just my own observation. I think the fire department, their contribution, and the various different entities of this city of Graham, I think they showed in good numbers. I think the participants came with family. That was very encouraging, letting us know that the communities are being aware of that this committee exists and what we stand for and what we're here to do. It also enables the children of the community and the city schools and county schools here in Alamance County to become more aware of the importance of trees and what they provide for our atmosphere, our oxygen. Different learnings came out of that. I think the poem was very nice and sweet. We had a solo artist present. So it was a lot of good that came out of that. I was very happy with it. And I do want it to continue and see it go forward. And we can maybe condense it some. We have the poems. We didn't do the art this year, but we have the history. And it's pretty repetitious, so it's not hard to come up with these materials. And we can find maybe different things to read and kind of twist it up some. But I myself, I would like to definitely see it happen again this year and going forward.
Yeah.
Groups. I think we have 4 categories.
And how do the schools know, or how does it get out there? Do we send it out to the schools that we're having the poem contest, or?
I know we pushed it out on social media to advertise through the school. We actually have to send out flyers through Peach Jar. We can't send out flyers like directly to the schools. Peach Jar is an online portal which sends out flyers from the community to the parents directly. And there is a cost related to that as well. And we'd have to work that out in the budget ahead of time to include that. But we did push it out on social media. I know Carmen, previous member, she was heavily involved with the poem contest. And I believe she taught like the Children's Museum because they were one of the collection sites for the poems.
I
And
think the social media, we need more there's not enough out there. Even like planting the trees, like, they know what the tree board actually is in town. A few people. You know, or somebody, you know.
We do send out a press release to local media sources about the different Arbor Day activities in Graham.
I think, I'm curious if you all have ideas of what you would want us to consider. I'm not really a huge fan of rinsing and repeating just because we've always done it. We continue to always do it. However, when something's not broke, then you really don't want to try to fix it, but there's ways to really, make it maybe a little bit different so you get another type of audience, but I'm not sure what the city's vision, for that is. And how we can make that happen.
I would be open to keeping the education piece, the Bonkers for Botany. We partnered with Stormwater Smart last year for the kids to come out in the park. They went out in South Grand Park on our Eco Explore location, and that is the nature trail that's located in that park. So we do try to utilize that area as much as we can for education programming. So we could explore that again this year. And possibly reach out to another partner for the education piece. Stormwater Smart does a great job. So maybe recruiting some more kids and offering a similar program again for Arbor Day, especially for the kids, for that education piece, and then social media to educate our adult population.
Okay.
Ms. Noel, have any ideas?
Well, I like keeping the Bonkers for Botany or something, some kind of education thing. I don't think that the poem really did anything last year. You know, I mean, we had 3 submitted, but I think if I remember correctly, there were 3. So there was like 1 in each age group, if I remember that correctly. So it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of participation in that.
But they were heartfelt. I mean,
Yeah, they were very good
oh my God,
poems.
they were
They
heartfelt.
definitely were very good poems, but I think we do that to try and get participation, and
Yeah.
with just 3
sure.
participating, it was unfortunately not really a big draw. And then the rock hunt.
Brenda, did you participated with the rock hunt? How was that done? You painted, yeah. Did you-
Mhm. Do
think
we
that-
still have the rocks? Yeah, and you can paint more rocks.
The goal with that though was to just bring awareness to Arbor Day. People stumble across it, whatever. So there might be other ways to do that, or, you know, to get more engagement. I don't know.
I do too. I do like the rocks. Wonder about putting them not necessarily just downtown, but in the parks, along the trails or something like that. Could we do something like that?
We have had the community actually hide kindness rocks along trails, especially at the accessible paved trail at Bill Cook Park. We've found a few because they stand out. They don't just kind of
Right.
disappear into their surroundings, but that could be an option. We do, I will have to reach out to the sponsor to see if they're still open to this, but we do have 2 of the $20 gift certificates still in hand that were not claimed, but I'll just need to reach out to the sponsor to see if they're open to letting us use those 2 gift certificates as prizes this year. I'm not sure if there's an expiration date on their end.
Who was the sponsors, do you recall?
Living Landscapes
Cool.
has been our sponsor for the past couple of years with Arbor Day events.
So with your experience, Brandy, overseeing this and helping us with this over the course of the years, do you have any suggestions for the things that we were saying may have come in a little short with only the 3 poems? Three's better than none. I like it, but if we're trying to do new ideas, do you have any suggestions for us that we may can consider?
I do not tonight. Like I said, my suggestion was to keep the tree planting ceremony and celebration as part of Tree City USA. That is one of our requirements. And to offer an education piece, the program in one of our parks, and then to continue offering tree resources. And in all of the information that went out on social media for Arbor Day, it does include that the Appearance Commission is behind Arbor Day in Graham as well. So you guys are included in all the information that does go out as well.
So basically, to be, as far as the Arbor Day, Tree City USA, in order to participate in that and receive that award that we receive every year, I think this is a 43rd year. It's either 43 or 44. But you have to have Arbor Day has to be proclaimed by the mayor, and you have to have a ceremony recognizing that this particular day is recognized in the city of Graham as Arbor Day, and you have to just a little celebration. And there's a proclamation, and that proclamation will be read, and then we can do whatever else we want to do after that. But we have to do that for the Tree City USA.
So is this the April 26th? Is that a First Responder Friday too?
First Responder Friday is still in the planning phase. I
Okay.
do not have dates for that program.
That's
Okay.
National Arbor Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's National Arbor Day right there.
Okay,
6.
okay. I was just curious
We don't
because,
do it that day, but that is
yeah,
National Arbor Day.
well, and I was just curious because like Brandy said, we kind of had like, not necessarily a captive audience, but we had more people there that might not have necessarily known about the tree planting. Now, I know we had the ceremony here last year because it was raining. But during the First Responder Friday and y'all planted the tree, there were more people there. So I'm thinking if we can kind of hook them up together again this year, it would, yeah,
Exposing the kids to it more,
Mhm.
getting
Mhm.
them.
it would expose more people to it. Because I'll be honest with you, until I got on the board, I didn't know we had an Arbor Day celebration. And obviously we've had one for 44 years since we've been a Tree City. I mean, a lot of it is just, you just don't know about these things.
In the
So-
past, it's there at one time it was kind of a joint thing with the middle school. Some of the
Mhm.
classes at the middle school, science classes. We planted some trees over here at the middle school. And they were, so you had a captive audience there as far as kids and the class would come out and for this, we've done it with the Arts Council and the library
Okay.
or Children's Museum.
Mhm.
We had several years that we did it with them as part of their family day, family fun day or something. I don't know. Nobody here was sending. You
No,
might.
I was on the board for CMAC, but yeah, that. I
It was
remember
something to
that.
do with a day.
It was in
that they-
April too. Mhm.
Yeah, it was in April that they already had a celebration and we joined with them and, we had good it had to be on a Saturday because that's when theirs were, but we had good participation there also. But
So do we have a location for the tree planting ceremony? Or,
we can do it wherever we want to.
okay,
Yeah, our parks team is
I have a person already who, wants to plant a tree at South Graham Park in memory of someone.
Okay.
I can use that. Bill Cook can use trees because
Mm.
we're taking a bunch out. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
we could plant a tree in the park.
mhm,
yeah. Wherever,
Either one of
wherever
those
is a
two
need.
parks would be what I would recommend.
okay.
I was thinking Bill Cook because they do need trees and, I don't know how we would collaborate their program. Do we get in contact with them or do you, Brandy, trying to combine the two?
Yes, so Public Works, myself and our Parks team work to decide where a tree is needed. And then depending on that location, also helps to determine what type of tree is gonna be planted.
Mhm.
So once we have a location for the tree, I can talk with our program supervisor and we can start working out possibly First Responder Fridays, as a location. And then combining
Okay.
the event. But it's, like he said, I mean, we've partnered with schools before. We have the local elementary schools, middle school, high school, all close by. So if it's something you wanted to look into, instead of going out to a park, we could also do a school. Cause all these locations have a captive audience.
Else? Any questions for Brandy or Mr. Covington?
Yeah, just let us know how you want to move forward, because we'd like to advertise the Arbor Day events throughout March, leading into April, and then April use that as the education piece and to continue to push events. But, for the ceremony, we just need to work on the schedule, if there's any special components to it. And I usually just send that out to you guys to proof and edit, as you like. Well, usually I'll send it to Cameron or Evan, to send to you, and you can look over it. And if you want to move forward with an education program, we can definitely put that on through Recreation and Parks.
So basically, are you good with this date?
Yes, sir.
26, cause I need to call the ranger.
Yes, sir. We're good.
Forest ranger
Everybody-
and
We're good?
I'll let them know what
Cause that is the national.
date
day.
is.
Yeah, I think it's free.
We can
That
add
is
details
Dogwood
later.
Festival
Yeah,
weekend.
and see what,
Is that Dogwood
works
Festival
for
Day?
them as well.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, that's Dogwood Festival?
What time you do it, but that is Friday Dogwood Festival.
doesn't the Friday portion, isn't that just in the evening for the Dogwood Festival?
No,
2 o'clock.
yeah.
Okay.
For us.
our program.
But if we
No.
do go this direction with Friday the 26th, then, but that still leaves open the idea of maybe partner with the school or partnering with CMAC or something of that nature, like, or not necessarily. It does need that date. Once we land on the date, we only have options that kind of correspond with that date. But we don't
that
decide
set up?
first responders.
Back to a school.
What's normally the expectation, what you see a turnaround for them responding if we choose a location? Because that's something you guys do, right? You would choose the location and based on the location, he'll choose the tree. Is that what we're saying?
yes, I will talk, with Tim and our
Okay,
Parks
sure.
team, and see where a tree is needed. And if it's gonna be within one of our parks.
Yeah.
I mean. we
Or
can
you do want to
easily
do it in the
schedule
park
that.
and not a school, so.
It just depends. If
Yeah.
it's gonna be on school grounds, we'll have to look into what those procedures are. And I don't know what that turnaround time is.
And Mr. Coven, you already have someone that we want to dedicate a tree for. Okay, no,
At
sounds
South
good.
Graham.
At South Grand.
Outside of Grant, what did you?
At
At
South
South
Graham
Graham.
Park.
At South Graham. Oh, okay,
So-
so that would determine, okay. So you
Yes.
would know what tree automatically then.
Yeah, and if so, what he's saying too is if we wanted to go to Bill Cook, then we
We do
would
the
have to do a
dedication,
different, different
different tree and
tree
maybe
and different
different
dedication. right.
dedication.
But
Mhm.
if we're okay with South
And
Grand,
maybe
think if
somebody
we-
would come, I mean, I haven't asked, but I mean, there's people that donate trees every year,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Mhm.
I.
Do you think the family is participating, anticipating us incorporating that ceremony with the Arbor Day because we don't want to let them down or disappoint them?
Not as of this moment, no.
Okay, you
I just
just,
have somebody who called me and I don't even have the paperwork. He just called me and said, I'd like to plant a tree at South Graham Park in memory of Ray Fogelman, who was a former
Council.
Council,
councilman,
yeah.
mayor,
uh,
and,
and mayor.
or city manager, Ray Fogelman, well, he may have been both. But
Think
he
so.
lived down there across from South Graham. That's the reason he wanted it in South Graham.
All right, um, so let's go back. I hate to keep, beating this, but let's go back to the Arbor Day poem contest. So is it your recommendation that we discontinue it? Or are you gonna still go with what we have submitted? And then just maybe try to think of something to add to that, or would you just, what are we saying about the poem? Because if somebody's already submitted, my child has already submitted a poem for a contest, I want to see the final result.
Well,
Oh.
here's a question, what is the cost? And since we have not covered the cost of it, saying to do the flyers to the school to try and get more participation.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you guys could
Could
incorporate.
we extend the date past? I mean, no, oh no, it's already March 31st, so that'll be right up. Well, that'll be almost another month. Could we extend the date until maybe the middle of, April? Would that give you enough chance to?
I believe the reason that the 31st was chosen is because you have your April date to choose the winners,
Mhm.
at your meeting.
From a meeting,
So, but do you know what the cost is to send them out to the schools or?
It depends on, how many schools you're sending it out to. I'll have to look into the cost, but I would just need to know like which elementary schools you're wanting to send it to, because there's a cost for each school.
So we couldn't just email them to the secretary or the principal.
Not
Mhm.
anymore.
It's a protocol for that.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a software that you have to submit the flyers
Okay.
through, then they're approved by the school system, and then they're submitted out.
It even maybe just
Which categories? You had three to four different categories, age groups, or?
We had
Yes.
elementary, middle, and high.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I think we had, 2 5th-grade students and a high school student that submitted.
What about the community school? That's not Alamance? Are they in the Alamance
I believe they're a charter
school
school.
district? Because they are charter, right? So they wouldn't be, because they need trees, but I don't think they're in our district.
So
Okay.
is there, and that brings up this question, is there a difference of how you communicate with the charter schools in the county?
I can send flyers out through Rivermill if they have to be approved as well. If they're approved,
Okay.
I can send flyers out through the school. Of course, there's a cost in printing and submitting, for flyers. Community school, I had reached out to them, back in the fall, but I could not get a response, from my contact.
What
So-
about the local churches, the youth programs within the local churches, something like that? They always look for things to participate in. Have we ever done churches, collaborated with churches?
We haven't sent out flyers to churches. Usually like for recreation and parks, usually the schools, are our contact.
So I guess what we need to decide, I guess, tonight is what activities you guys want to keep, and then go from there with the details if you want to talk about schools and things like that. So April 26th is the date that we've agreed on.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And so as far as a school and a park, that's for you guys to decide where you want to plant it, I believe is what Tim and Brandy are saying. So do you have a preference? Would you rather it be put in at a school or one of the parks? Bill Cook, South Graham Regional, I guess, could be an option too.
At the school, if the school is gonna participate, we're gonna do it during school hours. We would have a captive audience and maybe would draw more participation, more people. That's what I like about doing at the school. Guys' thoughts.
Then we'd have to communicate with the school to find out, would they allow it too?
Okay. Brandy, you would do it? Who would communicate with the schools? We would,
Well,
or you?
for the school, you're gonna need to decide which school, is there a certain grade level you wanna work with? Is there a certain class? Especially like with high school, is there a certain class you wanna participate with? And then we would have to get approval probably from the school board, and then,
Plant a tree. If you
Yeah, and then
plant
planting a
on that
tree.
Property you would, I'm sure.
and then we'd have to figure out as far as if there's anything we have to go through as far as.
So I would
digging.
say then, is everybody here good with the school if they can get the permission and get everything finalized? Would we be okay with everybody?
So one of us would probably need to go in front of the school board and ask about that. or set something up to,
And how quickly do they? Since if they.
To the superintendent.
Take
Do
your
we go to the
existing thing
superintendent or we go to the
to the
school?
Yeah.
Your best bet is to do it at Bill Cook Park
Yeah. I think
Best bet
this
is what?
year We're probably better off just going.
or South
yes,
Grand.
yeah.
And then looking into, because I don't think the schools are gonna move fast enough to get an answer to, do a proper plan.
Yeah, I think if we went to the school and you guys got down the line and they said no for whatever reason,
Yeah.
then we'd be in a real
Yep.
scramble. So if we want to keep it in-house, then yes, a park, Bill Cook or South
Bill
Graham
Cook would
or
be
Graham
fine.
Regional would be, Bill Cook, yeah, would be the easiest way. So
Okay.
we can control it.
So let's go with Bill Cook. I'm
Mhm.
on board.
Or
with that.
whatever.
That's
park,
fine with me.
wherever, yeah.
But no one, like what Tim said, who we've partnered with in the past to know that information for the future. Now we have time if you want to explore the options for next year or.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we have direct access to the parks, which would make it be in February.
Easier and
Yeah.
more
Yeah, I
expedient.
think it was.
I think Bill Cook or South Graham, whichever one, guys. Do we need to vote on the park or how do we move? forward?
I do like the idea of South Graham. I mean, it's just more, just with knowing that you already have someone that wants to plant a tree
Mhm.
there, that's noteworthy, it's timely. I think it's meaningful, it's all of those things, commemorative.
I agree.
Agree.
Whatever you guys
Okay, so I
decide on the
think,
park.
our answer back to you, Mr. Fogel, Covington and Brandy is that we're gonna go with park.
Can you give me a time?
You said 2 o'clock, right?
2 or
That's what
3?
you, I definitely think
Well,
earlier in
but
the
if they're
afternoon.
doing, the first responder.
I don't think we can hinge on that. We have to move forward, and
Yeah.
if it works out, it works out, but if it
Mhm.
doesn't,
And
it's a different group that.
in the past, First Responder Fridays were 5 o'clock in the
They
evening.
were 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
However, I know they're, like I said, they're in the planning process, so they're
Mm-hmm.
looking at what worked, what didn't work, what locations are best. So I'm not exactly, I don't have any true information at this time.
So, Mr. Covington, to donate a tree, just to be clear, somewhere I got that the understanding that it was $10, is that right? Through the, huh?
Like
Tree City.
75.
75.
Well, Tree City USA, I mean, as a member, is saying that it's $10.
75. City of Graham is 75.
So we can't get the $10 tree from Tree City? And being that
Probably
we are a
be little
member,
sit
About
down.
or
like
that's
that.
be like that,
Yeah, that'll just be.
Mhm.
but it is available. I know I read that, okay, all right. just
Yeah, on the Arbor Day and Graham, website, there is a tab you can click on that tells the community about if they want to donate a tree to the city of Graham.
There should be a form there to fill out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed that last year and the 75 stuck in my head because it was,
And
I
that's.
was just
gonna
trying
have
to, I was
go-
just trying to see how we could, maybe, offer something, so when they do make their date, we could still be a part of it and have a donation. But I don't.
I remember when we did do it, we had, oh goodness, the mascot, what was that? Was it Smokey the Bear?
There.
We had him and, it just felt, it was a morning event, I believe. It was at the regional park. So I just like, why afternoon? You like afternoon?
That was afternoon at regional.
Oh, that was afternoon. Okay.
Yeah. Last year, we couldn't get them because we were late and they
Okay.
were already booked for that
Mhm.
day.
Okay.
That's the reason we're trying to get a day and a time.
I like that
Now-
idea of that. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
just in the interest of clarity, as we go along here, it seems like you guys already have April 26th decided and South Graham Park for the tree planting decided.
Mhm.
So if somebody wanted to make a motion to confirm those, then you can talk maybe about some of the other events if you'd like to.
before we do that though, I would like to ask, what is the best time for you guys? I mean, your guys are not gonna wanna
2 or
work
3 o'clock.
2 or
Okay,
3
2
o'clock? Okay,
20.
so I'm gonna make a motion that we hold the Arbor Day on Friday the 26th at 2 o'clock at South Grand Park.
South Grand Park works for you guys, I would second that.
So we have a motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor for February 26th, at South,
April.
I'm sorry, April 26th at South Grand Park for tree planting and Arbor Day celebration at 2 p.m.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there a second?
Yeah, she second, Bernadette second.
Oh, sorry, I second that, yes.
Properly moved. Thank you guys so much. Any other questions, no
you.
discussion? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to talking about the spring calendar. I will now open the discussion regarding spring decorations and further calendar ideas for the new year. Ms. Cheryl, you had some suggestions and you were gonna bring us back some.
So I did do a little bit of research. There are a lot of tree boards and appearance committees that have very well established programs and plans and procedures and all of that. So I know just our next door neighbor, Hillsborough, town of Hillsborough, they do lots of education. They have through Tree City, they have through the tree organization. I'm blanking now. They have Bee City USA, which is a really cute program. They do have a lot of education on invasive species for removals. There's lots of towns that are doing programs that are actually encouraging you to remove if these certain trees like Bradford pears, whatever that are on the list. If you remove them, they'll give you like a stipend for removing them. So it really is, or give you I think might even be a tree replacement. So those are good things I saw. And then they have, which I really loved, this idea of, I think Town of Hillsborough calls it the tree treasure, but other communities have it where they recognize trees that have significance in the community, recognized for history, recognized for the species, recognized for how old it is. And it just brings to light what ultimately, you plant the tree today, it's 100 years from now, it still could be standing and it provides shade. You don't plant it for what you reap today, but you plant it for what the future reaps. And so it's really cool that they have that. And then they have signages that they put around to honor that and in ceremonies. So and the public does get to nominate. I know we do a lot of nominations with appearance committee, and we don't necessarily get a lot of participants or citizen contributions. But it does sound like they do get a lot of contributions, and then they have it where it's open for the community to vote. So lots of different stuff of that nature. And just overall programming, which I know we have our parks department here with Graham. We do have cooperative extension, which is NC State, which services Alamance County as a whole. They have definitely different things. And then we have a great treasure, which is the New Leaf Society, and how there's partnership for programs there to really help bring more awareness to what Graham is doing. So those are just a couple things that I was able to say, like maybe one or two or something of that nature that we could look at to start to just kind of start bringing awareness as we grow, not to jump feet in and do everything.
I believe that
Anyone?
New Leaf does recognize tree. Like they find trees in it.
It is
It's
on,
on,
but
she
she's
just
not
doesn't have it
speaking
yet.
I thought New Leaf did
It's green.
Now it's off.
Oh, it's all.
Oh, now it's on. Okay. Okay. Is that good?
Much
Okay.
better.
But New Leaf Society, don't they recognize trees?
They're more of a not-for-profit in the community, and Tim can probably correct me, but they are established to basically beautification and appearance of Alamance County. They
Right.
their biggest project was the Arboretum in Burlington. So they really plant trees more than recognize and just trying to make Alamance County a more attractive place for industry, but for citizens as well.
Right.
think
I
that's-
thought that there was a recognition for some trees. I remember talking to somebody on a trail. There was, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was
Graham has 3 of those recognized trees.
Yeah.
Oh.
because, okay.
Maybe we can incorporate that in some of our marketing for Arbor Day and just, I mean, the contributions.
7, 8 years ago.
It was that long,
Oh.
gosh, well,
6 or 7 years ago at least.
okay,
They
Okay.
recognize trees all over the county. Certain species of trees and the largest or whatever
Yeah,
of that species.
Champion tree.
Yeah, champion tree.
champion tree.
program. We have 3 of them.
right, the champion trees, that's what that was, okay, okay.
Anybody else?
Okay,
have
anybody
ideas?
else have any suggestions?
No, I was looking at the New Leaf Society stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So I know I had sent an email about flags and looking through town, we do have the flags on the poles. Right now, the Explore Graham, Love Graham, things like that throughout the town. But what other flags do they put up? Do they put anything else up or I know those have been up for a while.
Those have been up for, well, at least 3.
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
4 years.
Right,
Some of them are in bad shape. Some of them
Mhm.
are taken down.
Yes.
replaced.
yeah,
We have a few more left, but
Not enough to.
that's the only flags we have now.
okay.
We
Mr.
had
Covers,
different flags at one time, but they were all bad.
Sure, sure, over time, yeah, yeah.
They go up and they stay up there for a while.
Okay.
do you remember anything about like the cost or anything like that? If we would say,
So
do you know how many they are?
there's,
That's
it
something-
goes all around the circle, all 4
Yeah,
blocks.
that's something that council did.
Yeah,
Council, I think somehow through, and that's before you. Before, it's been 3 or 4 years.
it can be hundreds of dollars
I
a
think that was
flag.
a council thing, and council ordered them, and we put them up. But I mean, they go all the way to Wendy's. There's a couple on South Main,
Right, right,
and they're all the way around the square,
yeah,
and there's a few on 200 block of North Main.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
They're on they go to the 200 block of East and West Elm,
hmm
and then the 200 block of North, and then like I say, they go south all the way to Wendy's.
right, right. Yeah, and they can run depending on the size of what you're getting.
Mhm.
But you couldn't do something seasonal like that then, it would have to be something that you're putting up,
Good,
You know.
'cause, I mean, you gotta have time to put them up.
yeah,
Mhm.
Mm.
Very
yeah.
expensive.
It's a lot of poles.
That sounds expensive. Sounds like more than
Yeah.
what we have.
I do have a question for Tim. So if this commission would want to consider, where people could apply to have a tree planted, say we fund one tree and installation of that tree in like churches or schools or whoever business entity, we could create the criteria. What would that cost? Like, what would that overall cost be associated if we did something like that to,
Donate a tree.
yes.
Currently it's $75.
We're saying 75.
But is that truly Graham's cost? Or I thought you said it was going to be a little bit more expensive.
Depends on the tree.
Type of tree.
species of tree and size.
Okay.
It's gonna cost me anywhere from $100 to $125.
So that really is the cost to do that. I
Yeah,
just,
With your labor and,
We've
yeah,
already discussed, normally the rate and fee schedule usually changes in June or July, one or the other. And council has to approve that. But we have to request it, so
It'll be part of their budget.
we are gonna request a hike on that fee for if you want to plant a more tree.
well, what if like Living Landscapes did that, like, and we paid them to do that? So there's paid from our budget because I think there's probably a concern if the city went on someone's personal property and what if that tree, whatever, you know what I mean? Like who knows? We know how people like to get excited about city and counties. And so what if like Living Landscapes, somehow we work with them or that was their donation or another entity would donate that. And we had some where people could apply to have a tree planted or something of that nature. I'm just trying to think, the goal is we want to get more involved. In the end of the day, we want to grow the tree canopy in Graham. And so I know one tree at a time, that takes forever, but yes, we're going to plant one part of Arbor Day, but also it's encouraging people to do more of that. And there's probably a way to work with Stolen Water, and they might get trees, and we can give trees out, because I know you've done that before. There's lots of ways to try to do that. I just don't know if that's of interest to this group or not.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
It would,
we can solicit and maybe sit
Well-
down with somebody.
We got a tree grant, probably either 19 or 20. Been 3 or 4 years ago. We got a tree grant, to plant 200 trees. And we planted 200 trees that year through that grant.
Do you know who wrote the grant? I know.
How do we go about seeing if there's another grant out there? Oh,
That
so
stuff's- That stuff's out there. It just takes time and it's,
that. So if this commission wanted to consider looking for grants, is that something that we would go out and apply for on behalf of us, or we would get approval from you all before we apply for those?
You would probably want to bring it, of course, to the commission. And if it's something the commission wants to pursue, that could be something that an individual or a couple of you guys look into doing.
Okay.
Because as the appearance commission, I'm sure that they would be able to grant you guys funds.
That's
So I mean, if you guys want to look when you can and bring them back as you
Yeah.
find them, that's fine. You can keep your eyes out for that.
Okay.
And just let me know ahead of time, I guess, if you want to discuss it, so I can put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I think it also kind of depends on, we having to pay something for this grant. Is it free?
Yeah.
So that's, we have to give back a matching grant, then that's probably something that we need to put for a city council or
The last-
admin, something.
the last one was a matching grant.
Yeah.
So we had, it had to be approved by council and council had to approve where the money was coming from for the match. And I-
And that has to be done before application is made, or application is made and then upon being accepted, that has to bring forth to be able to do that.
before application, I would think. So we would do our research,
Okay.
find out what all the costs
So
are.
Mhm.
that's the grand policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing as like you presenting, your budget.
Mhm.
You need this amount of money for this specific reason.
Okay.
Yes.
And we've gotten trees from New Leaf before. It's about that same time, 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, we may have used some of those trees that we got from New Leaf along with that grant. I can't remember. But New Leaf they gave trees to every municipality in this county who wanted. They just called and said, hey, we're gonna have a certain number of trees, and told us where to pick them up and what time to be there.
Mhm.
And we went and picked them up.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'd
We-
like to look into that if you guys are, look into
I
potential
think it would
grants.
be
Yes,
worth
I
looking
think we.
into.
looking
That
into
would
it.
be worth it. Because
And
we
Mr.
are cutting down so many of the ash tree and whatnot like that. The parks are,
So far, we've taken out about 250 trees in Cook Park.
Yeah.
We're not.
wow.
It'll
No,
be-
so for the 200 you planted, you're
it'll be
removing.
well over 300.
Yeah.
And you don't need to plant 300 back. I mean, they were too thick. It was way too thick. It's gonna be much better.
So will it help if we got some donations, if we were soliciting for donations? Would that be a help to you and your department, or it would just be,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how if we decide we wanna plant trees back, yes,
okay.
donations would definitely be helpful.
And when you say we, you're talking from the perspective of the city, or now, not from our commission, right? The city, right? And so how will we know if you guys are gonna decide to or not to, and how many? So we would know what to solicit for.
As many as we can get for as least amount of money.
That's what I was gonna say.
Make sure that he's ready to move forward, so we'd have to wait on them to say, yeah, we're gonna move forward with this, and then we can.
And then currently, I don't have parks.
Oh,
We're over there doing this tree work
oh,
cost.
Our park supervisor would have to be involved in the conversation.
and who is that?
They'll bill me. Not here tonight, so I can't speak on that.
I guess unfortunately, it'd still all be internal here though, right?
Mhm.
So we're not having to.
Yeah.
outside of things that could be handled, we pretty much outside of these meetings.
we just want to reach out to the park supervisor just to make sure that this is something they're looking to do and interested in us doing for them. Rather than us waste our time with that, we can be working on the grant. So the grant process is quite a bit of work sometimes, just
Yeah.
depending upon the grant.
Yeah.
It can get
Well-
very intense and it can be very simplified. It depends on what we've done before.
And that can be something when
Grant
you,
writing experience.
when you find a grant that you guys are interested in, we can get it in the hands of the right people and then have a discussion from there. So if you do want to keep your eyes out for a tree grant,
But we just need to know the mission statement. Where do we find all that information? Because we need to have the same mission statement
it's on the,
to project for the grant,
it's
for
on
the
the,
application
It should
process.
be on the web.
yeah, the website
Yeah.
under
So
boards
we
and
just
commissions.
have to get-
Yeah.
get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
get some
can
amendments
send
in
it to
there.
you if you need it.
Yeah, please. Also, Brandy, could you please, or someone could send me a copy of the last year's Arbor Day program? So we can kind of go from there and try to start filling in spaces. And guys, if it's okay with you guys, if we don't finalize everything tonight, if you would be susceptible to receiving email, signing up via email, and then I can forward it on to Evan.
I think Brandy did say most of the materials were still on the website. Is that correct, Brandy?
Yes.
The program is not, I didn't see it. I looked for it today, and it very well may be something I could omit very easily, but I didn't see it. So I'm asking that if you can email that to me, that would be great. So then we can kind of just select what you like to do, and we're gonna need participation probably from everyone. So, yeah, but I
so
think,
take a look at it as well. If you want to make any changes, to bring that to the next meeting as well.
I don't think, well, I think I like the program. Okay, having said that, Mr. Evan, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I know we're talking about, like Cameron said, talking about things next meeting and these grants, so this is kind of like what we were talking about in the last meeting. Anything you guys want to add? That's why I listed the yarn bombing and, you know, continuing education. So anything you want to add to the calendar, it's still open to do that. And so I just want to put that out there. If anybody had any thoughts about yarn bombing, if it's something you guys want to take up, you can discuss it.
That was a cute idea. I think that would add a lot of color to downtown if we can get participation in that. There's really no cost to it. But in spring plans, what do we want to do with downtown? And I know, the park, I feel like that needs so much love. Yeah, we're gonna work on that. And you guys do all the planting in the park and everything like that, which always looks so good.
That he's not with. the
No.
park.
I don't do any parks. I don't-
Oh, you don't do the parks, that's right, you
Mm-mm.
don't do. Yes,
Yes, all this stuff, yes.
yes, yes,
Do-
okay,
yeah, do
okay,
all that.
yeah.
Planters, parks, everything in this block.
Okay, you do the hanging baskets, planters,
Yeah,
everything,
civic
okay,
center, all that.
okay.
Mr. Covington, do you by chance know how inexpensive or expensive it is to hang baskets, and how many, like, do you normally hang? Do you know, like, if it's just right in Court Square, we could focus on?
Centennial Park, where a few here,
Yes, sir.
yeah, there are a few, had a few, couple in front and one or two in the back.
So about
mean-
12, 15, I
I
mean-
had a dozen.
about 12.
We never had them all out at one time last year, but I will probably have more this year.
Do you have any suggestions of what type of plants or flowers? I'm sorry,
They're already growing.
they already growing?
We already got them in green.
Oh. Okay,
And they'll be at least 12 or maybe more. If I need some more arbors to hang them on. I need to get some more of those, but, if we have any money left, but,
Do you put them in the same place every time?
last year was
Okay.
the first year I ever put them out. So, I mean, I'm open
No
for
idea.
suggestions.
I know there was a lot.
are the arbors expensive, Mr. Covington? Could we try to agree as a commission to help with that project and maybe just donate to Arbors?
Depending on how high you get it, whether it's a single or double, but they're $25, $30 a piece for a good one.
And you said about a dozen?
Yeah, I have probably, 10 or 12 now.
Our budget, 1,500.
Some's been used. We'll have to get a solid number.
Okay.
I guess.
But so maybe the city can give us a solid budget and then ideas, but those are already growing. Do you have money in your budget this year, or would you need money from us to purchase those, or is that something that you?
Buy some more arbor.
Mm-hmm.
buy some more.
What'd you say, sir?
I'm probably gonna be tight.
Okay, you will need some, our help. That's fine. Okay, just let us, maybe we could get together and you just tell us about the dollar amount that we can submit it back to the, Evan,
It's all right.
Colin,
Yeah, and like,
Evan, and then we can go from there and
Mhm.
try to look at what we have, and we'll be more than happy to everybody's agreement to help him with that.
and Cameron said, like, we don't know the exact number, but some has been used, but I'm sure there's enough for a few.
I
or
think
however-
we had 15 and maybe 400 was used.
And it's
Yeah.
got $900-800 maybe.
Yeah.
But you also gotta take into consideration, how much is it gonna cost to advertise for Arbor Day? stuff.
Arbor
So
Day.
We have to, he mentioned what, you said $35-45 per Arbor thing, so I mean, said he has 12, how many more do you really want? Somewhere around there, I mean, you round up because who knows what prices are nowadays, but, you take into account, you want to do 10, $450, $500 max, depending upon how much that costs.
So that would be contingent upon what our numbers come out with, what we already have ourselves committed to, I would say. And then from there, we can let you know, how much we do have available.
Just for a point of clarification, you said you had how many already that work, or do you have any at all?
Probably at least 10.
So he has 10.
And he needs at least 10.
No, he has,
As,
he has 10 and there's 12.
Some of them are double,
Mhm.
so I don't have 10, but
Okay.
I have enough probably to hang 10 baskets,
Okay.
at least 10 baskets.
Oh, so you would probably need a donation, maybe 2 or 3.
It
that what
depends
was-
on how many y'all want to
I
have
mean,
out.
well, but, and then I'll have to get some more baskets. I mean, I've got some baskets.
Yeah, you said you have 12 now. I would like to stay with what you have if we could. Sir.
So is this something you guys want to add to the calendar to come back to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, I was just trying to keep track of.
and are these, hangers just from Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever? Like they're not special ones, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, let him.
So are we gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just telling him to give me the prices of whatever it is for the arbors and maybe each of the baskets, if he needs more of those. If you want to add on to the 10 that he has, then you'll have the price amount for that. You'll have the amount of money that's remaining, the amount of money that's for the advertising on Brandy's side of it too.
Yes, sir.
Kind of take those 3 numbers and also take into account how much money y'all would want to put towards the spring downtown stuff. That's still in the cards. So like I said, just
Right.
the money grab next month, maybe.
Absolutely.
Y'all kind of discuss that.
Good observation. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Bernadette had asked a question
Yeah,
also.
so the hangers, they're from Home Depot, Lowe's, they're not anything,
On my Amazon last year.
okay, all right, so it's not like a special commercial one or anything like
Well,
that?
They are heavier, yes.
Okay,
They-
all
they
right,
need to be.
okay.
So
So then we're gonna table that until our next discussion,
would you like to add that
after
to March?
we have figured out,
Okay.
March, and then after we figured out what we're gonna be committed to with what we've already,
Okay.
spoken
Yeah.
about.
Nice.
Okay.
Is there anything else
Anything else?
like you guys would like to add, like Cameron was saying, for the spring downtown?
Yeah, but
Yarn bombing, anything like that that you have
decided
thoughts
anything
about?
on how to decorate downtown?
Well,
What are we doing for the spring downtown?
that's what's gonna be for-
For the summer.
Just put the baskets up for the summer?
And
What
stay
did we
within
do
our
last
budget,
year?
then we can plan better for next year, maybe. you know, because now we don't know what we're gonna be qualified for. We don't know if we're gonna have to have a matching grant, if we want to do the grant. So I think we need to get our budget together.
We
first.
definitely need more money.
need
We
more
gotta go
money.
outside.
We're gonna-
I think we're spending up here. We don't have but $1,500.
Right. Mr. Covington.
Do you think you want and where you want?
Right.
That's,
I think the same locations are fine. The Centennial Park is basically what we're trying to, you know,
Yeah.
definitely give a new look and an uplift and
Well-
but I know it needs some foundation work, but we're just trying to beautify it. But they have a problem with people stealing stuff. I understand that and we can't prevent that. But we can still,
right now, it's not planted real heavy
mm-hmm,
because it needs work.
mm-hmm,
It-
mm-hmm,
It's
yes,
gonna
sir.
have to have work.
It's gonna have to have work and we're talking about that on another board.
Are you,
Yeah,
when you're saying work, you mean like the brickwork and the arbor?
The
yes,
whole-
Okay.
the whole
It's
thing.
caving
is
in.
Caving
Yeah.
in.
And I mean, it's,
Yeah, it's in bad condition.
It's a major project. It's not a $5,000 job.
It's a big job.
It could be a $30,000 to $50,000.
That's right.
I don't know because we don't know what the problem is.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So has that been discussed in the budget, Bonnie? Like,
We have not discussed it yet, but it will be.
okay,
It'll be here before you know it. I mean, June is when they'll start to,
okay,
decide on it at end of July. I mean, they'll probably start having budget discussion, probably, you know, April, I assume, yeah.
but that should be in the budget though, fixing that park.
Discussed.
Okay, okay. I know a lot. It's such a pretty park too. It's well used also,
Very
so it's really nice. I mean, we can make it look pretty. We could fluff it this year,
Mhm.
you know,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so for spring, if we help with the baskets now for summer, and maybe we could just skip spring. I don't know how much money we're gonna have. I guess we'd have to make that
I think
determination.
we need to, yeah, if we're gonna spend some of our money on Arbor Day stuff and celebrate, we probably need to really understand what kind of resources we have.
Yeah.
And what to allocate, because I think that we left that open-ended last month of how much money was spent,
Yeah.
on fall decor. So I think that's information we may need
Mhm.
from the city to provide us.
Understood.
And so I think with that said, is the yard bombing, we should table that discussion. Unless someone has real interest in wanting to lead that forward at this point.
I think it's a cute idea, but
Yeah.
yeah.
it's a
Table-
good
We
idea,
need
but I
to
think we're gonna
focus on
table
the
that
grant.
to maybe to next year.
Okay, so table is
Decided
in
that-
not part of
yeah,
this year's
I
calendar.
just don't have that time.
Okay. Is,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So with that having been said, anything else for discussion?
Yeah, I think we look into grants and
Did we do city council update?
Oh, I'm
that'll be
sorry.
after,
We're not there yet.
yeah, that'll be after.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, no, sorry.
We're gonna get there. Okay, so, Mr. Covington, did you have anything else? Okay, thank you so much for participating. Brandy, you have anything else? Thank you so much for
Thank you.
participating tonight. Then we're gonna go on then to the continuing ed. Again, another money factor, so we don't know, but I did see online where there were some counties that had people that came in to do continuing ed at various different entities of the city. And the tree and commission was one of those. And if we can find someone, because they have where they are needing to have they get credit for coming out and doing the continuing ed or the educational part. So that's something else we can look at, but as far as trying to commit to something else right now, until we know what our actual budget is, I think we'll be kind of working backwards again.
I mean, you guys, will get renewed funds and starting in July.
Yeah, July 1st is.
So
the
if it's
budget.
something you want to put on the calendar for the fall, then you could do that and not have to, if you're still interested in continuing education. If you're putting it on the calendar, again, you can just have a discussion about it and that gives you time to look into it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Very
As
good
far
idea.
as, you know, you're like, it's kind of like last meeting, we're not trying to commit to a
Right.
whole lot in great detail, but what you guys are interested in. how
We
you
could
want
put it on the calendar for August discussion.
No
after.
meeting in August.
Yeah, we're not scheduled for. a
We're
meeting.
not,
Okay.
we're not scheduled.
So I guess we really need to know what our budget is, how much money do we have, because we gotta spend it before the end of the year, otherwise we lose it, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
I mean, I know there's lots of master gardener programs and cooperative extension. There's partnerships, and I think we should all work at partnerships because then we can double up on resources, right? So they do a program that's Think Green Thursdays.
Yes.
That some of that is directly focused on pruning trees or grafting trees. So maybe those are some things that
What-
this
what is
board,
it? Where-
it's cooperative extension.
The
okay.
4-H club?
do the
But
plant
they,
sale.
they do, yeah, the
Right,
master
right,
gardeners
right.
do that, but the 4-H is part of that, but it's an NC State county funded program where there are professionals that come in across the state that give these workshops, or even folks that are in our community that have that skill set will give the workshop. Sometimes they're on site. There's Buster Sykes Farm that has lots of fruit trees and other things there. So they work on that, like how to be more engaged in growing fruit and how to prune them. And so those are things I think we could really populate to our citizens here so they have more awareness of those.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how we, I know social media seems to be where we all go for that, but if there's ways that we can somehow partner. I don't know if people can sign up to get emails from the appearance committee if they want to know more information about that. If there's a way people can put like a form on the city site where, hey, keep me updated on anything related to trees or green canopy in the community. I don't know. Those are ways that maybe we could do that. I mean, we do have the ability, like in water billing. Do we have a ability to put things in, like inserts in those with the city? Or I know there's a cost associated to those things. The city does have email addresses for most people for their water payment. Those are the things that I wonder how we can better utilize from I mean, clearly there's a privacy opt-in component to that.
I was gonna say that.
But if there is something of that nature, that may be where
Yeah.
people get more stuff.
The email list, I wouldn't imagine that it would be a problem to let people opt in and receive emails. The only thing is somebody would kind of have to somebody on the board would have to take control of that and commit to writing out emails and sending those out on a schedule, or you guys take turns. It'd be something you guys would have to take on as a project, would be the only thing. And like you said, they'd have to opt in, so it could be on the website, or I guess maybe a link put out on Facebook that if they want to sign up for updates. But other
Yeah,
than
the-
that,
The good thing, if you use it by email, you can actually schedule the date that it goes out, right? So you can create it anytime in advance and just schedule it to go out at a certain date, and we could rotate.
I think that's the kind of stuff, like we want to go do these things, but the thing is we're doing this work, which is kind of what Brandy said. We did 4 of those things and had very little participation. So you have to kind of go back to the beginning. How do you build awareness so that when you
Yeah.
do these things, it feels like it's really worth time and talent of the city employees and ours to make it meaningful. That's why I just keep going back of how do we promote more, get people really engaged on the front end where there's not as much dollar amount. Like typically with the schools, you don't see a lot of turnaround on those solicitations to them. I mean, they get bombarded from everything in the community. We'll send them in that email and it's like, a mile long. So how do you get people that truly are interested in what this commission's doing?
What about an open meeting, like an ad hoc committee form, something like that, solicit people to come in from the community?
I mean, these are open meetings.
I mean,
And
like
they're
a- like
advertised.
Where you can
but-
brainstorm, like, we
Work
have
sessions
a
or
work
something.
session where you
Yeah.
can brainstorm and get the
It might be that you,
opinion of other people and.
I don't know.
go.
It totally just took us sidetracked, but I'm just trying to go back to like where we keep kind of fumbling of what we want to do all this stuff, but unless you have an audience, then you feel like the wind's out of your sail when it doesn't come to fruition how you
Mhm.
want it to. That's why I'm like, well, then start, back up and start where you need to begin, and then you build it.
Anything to add? Anyone have anything else they want to add to that? Okay, so we have a lot of things. We have, so Cheryl, if you would,
stay with, Brandy and Mr. Covington. I will reach out to Cooperative Extension and try to figure out, about their continuing ed of their educational programs. Then any person willing, you can join in with Cheryl and I in researching grants,
I'll help out with grants. too,
grant
yeah.
writing,
I'll see what I
and
can
we can
find
do
out there.
meetings
Just
outside of
and
this
we can
meeting and
email
bring it
amongst
back to the
ourselves,
commission,
right?
so that's fine.
Okay.
And we need to start on that as soon as possible. So everybody check your calendars
Okay.
for next week and following weeks, and let's get started with that. And then, free donations. Mark.
Mm.
So Mr. Covington, Cheryl will be back in contact with you, finding out what your needs are, what the cost is. And once we hear back from Brandy, she will have a better idea to bring back to the commission as far as how much we are going to be able to operate with. And then we can schedule something when our new budget comes out to maybe help more next year.
Yeah, and that's something you guys wanted to discuss next month too, which
Next
is what
month,
you're
yes.
saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Then you can, if you want to, you can make a motion to add that to the calendar. If you would like,
I will make a motion.
kind of a budget, rest of the fiscal year discussion for March.
That was already on. I thought
There's a
it's already
budget
on-
discussion on
Wait,
the
wait.
Already on
March
the
Yeah,
calendar.
on March.
calendar.
Okay,
We
there
already
you go,
have, yes.
perfect.
So my question would be,
Apologies.
you're fine, but can y'all find out how much we have left in the budget so we know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like we're talking about doing these things, but we've got this vague amount that we don't know how much money we have. So if we know that, then we can definitely plan a little bit better.
Mhm.
And then I also have a question too. The decorations, are they
Somewhere here, I
Somewhere.
think. Yeah.
okay, okay, just, it flew into my head and I thought I'd ask about it.
Yeah, they're here.
Okay.
I guess, next fall, the kind of up to you all to, people that are still here, people take home to decorate downtown with those existing decorations that we have and whatever else that maybe requires. That'll be something that you all discuss closer to that day.
And
Can I ask one more question for Mr.
Yes,
Covington?
please.
How high would the shepherd's hooks need to be? Like I'm on Amazon now and I'm finding ones from like 90 inches, or is there a certain height?
At least 72.
At least 72?
At least
Okay,
6 foot.
okay,
90 would probably be better.
okay. Yeah, there's a 2-pack for like $30. Not a bad deal.
Chair Clark Baldwin, just for my notes, what was the name of the continuing education program you were gonna look?
Cooperative Extension.
Oh, it's the Think
The-
Green Thursdays and different,
Okay. Think green.
All right, so, we didn't need to make a motion, being we already have it in our, calendar. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll
So-
fit under that, like you guys were saying. A budget discussion for next month is fine. And we'll get a total number for you guys, and if you guys want to communicate with, Mr. Covington, that's
Yes.
fine too.
That'd be fine. Okay, so now with city council, are there any updates? We now can hear updates from city council.
So I don't have a lot to update. I don't know exactly how much you guys have spent yet. But like Evan said, we can find out and get back with you. I don't think it was more than $500 or $600, really, to be honest with you. So I think you've got quite a bit left in your budget to finish up the year with. But as you know, Noel's gonna be leaving. We lost 3 other members. So we're gonna be down to just 3 after Noel leaves. So if you guys know of anybody that you think might enjoy being on the board, please, kind of hit them up and see if you can get them to, if you can stir up some interest. I got a couple of people I'm gonna talk to, but we need to stir up some interest to get you guys some help up here. Because this commission is actually 2 boards, as you know, so it's a lot of work for just 3 or 4 people. So if you know of anybody, please, hit them up. And see if they'd like to be on the commission. And, we can get it put on and we can vote on it. City council can vote on it. And see if we, want to add people. So.
Is there,
And we,
Go
okay.
ahead. is there a way, to get, contact information for those that may have been nominated for, appearance awards or won appearance awards that we could reach out to them? That's just how I found out about this committee, and those people have already demonstrated an ability that they
Mhm.
care about the appearance.
Like people that maybe volunteered in the past or
Sure.
and
Yeah.
weren't
If there are
chosen or.
names that Evan or of people that have been volunteers in before, if you guys have that, I'm happy to reach out to people.
Yeah,
But
we can certainly look at that and I can see if I can get you a list
okay,
of some people.
And then if, say if the interest does fail, because I think with, when you're working in collaboration with each other and everybody's on one accord and things are going
Mhm.
smoothly, I think the amount of people is gonna become pretty much, not as important, I would say, but we do want people to participate. We would love to have more people. But if that not be the case, then what we could do is also do as we've had to do on the HRC is that we can condense the number of members that are going to be required. That way, if we only have 3 after Ms. Noel leaves, we can still have a quorum. And
Yeah, and we'll have to look at that. City council, we'll definitely have to look at,
we can ask
do
the
we want to
council
reduce the number from 7 down
to 5.
to make it not so difficult to
Yeah.
have a quorum?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because right now you're kind of in a pickle,
Mhm.
if one person's not here. So we don't want to put you in that situation. So that's something I had brought up. In fact, the other day when I was talking to another council member and I said, we might need to bring that up at the meeting, see what we want to do about possibly reducing the total number of the board. So, we'll probably be looking at that. So, anybody else got anything they want to ask me or?
That's just all. I just need to see if we can condense that number, then that way we know where we are every month and we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about a quorum.
Yeah, because right now we're, like I say, we're kind of in a pickle if somebody has to be absent. So, because I can't get up there and be one of y'all, so.
You
But,
can't.
I cannot.
Come on.
But, okay,
on some
that's all I
socks.
had. So,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Council. Are there any non-agenda items or anything else anybody would like to discuss tonight?
is there staff updates or they've already been given?
Yeah.
That was omitted, so I didn't know if Mr. Evan did
Oh,
want to
okay.
do staff.
I mean, I
updates,
don't
but yeah, staff
know if I necessarily have an update, just thank Tim and Brandy for being here tonight. And thank all of you guys for showing up so we could have a quorum and have a discussion. I think that was pretty productive and hopefully we keep it going and this board continues to get some things done and be an asset to the city. So thank you guys.
Can I ask one question? Can we put on social media, like I follow some, just Graham from people from Graham pages. Can we put on social media? We're having Arbor Day, like what is the, the rules
Yeah,
for
that would-
social media?
I was gonna say that'd be almost the same as if you shared it or reposted it. So yeah, if you want to make a post out of your own accord. then
Okay,
of course.
okay, so I can share stuff like the Brandy, because Brandy, you do like the Parks does a
Mhm.
good thing on social media, so sharing that into some maybe other pages. Okay, all right,
Yeah, it
I'm
can be-
allowed to do that, just want to
Mhm.
make sure I go social media.
Yeah, it can be shared. For
Okay,
sure.
all right, cool.
Probably appreciated for sure.
Perfect, okay. Anything else? Anyone have anything else? If there's nothing else, I'd like to call for an adjournment, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, guys. Good meeting.